Hello, everyone. Welcome to Chasing a Murderer. And today, guys, I am actually going to go over some things that are quite different than what we're used to covering here on this channel, anyways. As you know, I've been actually preoccupied for over a year covering the story on the Lori Vallow case. And you guys know that I like to use the bigger stories here to kind of push the little phases, the phases that where people continue to go missing, but we kind of forget about their stories. But the Lori Vallow case has been so overwhelming for me and many other people who cover that case. It'll keep you busy. It's hard to keep on track, especially if you work alone like I do on other stories. So today, well, as you guys know, I live in Florida, Central Florida. And here, there has been so many crazy things going on. And I know they're going on all over the world, all over this nation. I mean, we're just seeing, evils on higher levels than we've ever seen them before. And I don't know about you guys, but in this time and age, we expected things to get better, not worse. There are a lot more people in the world, but still, is that an excuse for mankind to go in a darker direction? So I have a few stories I'm going to share today. The state of Florida always gets a bad rap on the type of people and the news that comes out of this area. But let me assure you, it's not the locals. It's people coming from other places to our state. In fact, the amount of locals in this state, we dwindled away. And we have people like the story I'm about to tell where they come down and visit here and then they just, they go crazy. Then they hit the headlines as another crazy Florida story. In Orlando this week, we had three women total, that were injured in a very violent way. We'll start off with these two women who were injured by gunfire. And this is after a man who was denied a room at a hotel because he was under 21. He got frustrated about that and took his anger out on two or more innocent people in nearby resorts. Mark Canty said that, he's a sheriff, said that this guy, we needed to get him off the streets. He said it's kind of shocking and a little scary to see what this guy was doing. A young man by the name of Jailen Houston, 19 years old, travels from Georgia to Orlando. We don't have an exact timeline as of now, but it was around December 14th, 2022, Wednesday night. This young man goes into an over a 20-minute rage. According to Jailen, he said he was traveling to Orlando, this area, to enroll in a university. And when he showed up at the Westgate Resort, he said he felt scammed and frustrated by the fact that they said he wasn't old enough to get a room. According to him, you needed to be 21 years old in order to get a room. At that point, he was so frustrated. He said that he head to a store, an unnamed store, where he purchases a AR-15 and ammo. This is odd to me since I thought you had to have a 72-hour hold or time before you could purchase such a weapon. And it's around 10:30 p.m. that night, we're being told right now it was December 13th of 2022. He walked back into the same hotel, into the lobby, where he was refused to purchase a room. He pulls out his gun and began firing. We are being told at this time that he fired at several people in that lobby, and he hit one woman in her early 20s. According to a news article, this happened at Westgate Lakes Resort on Turkey Lake Road. There, he opened fire, striking a female who was approximately in her 20s. The sheriff said later on in a news press. Houston's rage didn't end there. He leaves that hotel, which is about 10 minutes later, and around 10:50 p.m., he drives to the Marriott Cypress Harbor Villas on Harbor Villa Road. We're being told that he shot a young security guard there. So this was a woman also in her 20s. Both women were taken to the hospital. And all of this happening not too far from International Drive. There were reports that shots were being fired at the Marriott Residence Inn at the 11,000 Westwood Boulevard, although no one else was injured. Callers that called in to 911 reported that this guy pointed a rifle at some individuals, and it was pointed at individuals at the Antigua Cove apartments. We learned that he did strike several of the apartments, but they're saying that there was no one injured there either. As a little bit more time passed, we learned that he had actually shot at what we're told at two vehicles, a community bus or a van, as they were sitting at the intersection of Central Florida Parkway and Westwood Boulevard. But in a press conference with the sheriff, he said no one was struck by bullets. There were just several minor injuries caused by flying glass. After emptying quite a bit of ammo, Jailen takes off in the car and heads toward Osceola County. At some point, the guy crashes on I-4, where deputies that pull up that find him sitting on the ramp outside of his car, and they're saying 20 minutes after he fired the first shot. But there's a few contradictions saying that they found him around 7 a.m., and that's definitely not 20 minutes after he fired the first shot. So according to Martinez, a reporter, they find him 20 minutes after the first shot. The sheriff said, "We know these events happened very, very quickly, and he had enough time to do these events, then drive at very high speeds 10 miles toward the Osceola County line." The sheriff said, "It could have been a lot worse. We're thankful that it's not." I need to make a correction. I think I said they found him sitting on a ramp, but they find him sitting on a guardrail with his gun sitting in the passenger side of his car. He was arrested after he crashes his car near that Osceola County line, and they're saying that's around 7 a.m. on Thursday. And that's coming out of that's according to the affidavit. So this guy's name is Jailen Rasheed Houston, 19, arrested in the relation to the shootings and was booked into jail on the count of first-degree murder. That's according to Fox 35. And what they learned is the fact that this Houston guy, who was from Dallas, Georgia, had been in Orlando only for a few days. And that all of this craziness went on between 10 and 11 p.m. Wednesday. So here's the really concerning thing. So this guy's interviewed by detectives, and he allegedly finally confessed to all the shootings according to an affidavit. And he tells the detectives that he was frustrated with the Westgate Lakes Resort after believing he was scammed earlier, that evening when he tried to check in. We keep hearing that he felt like he was scammed, but we're not really getting any details as to how he thought that this place scammed him. And again, he tells the officers that he drove to the store, purchased magazines and ammunition from the store, and loaded his rifle. It makes you wonder, did he have this rifle on him the entire time and just had to buy ammo? If that's the case, that raises new flags in itself. Now, here's something, you guys, I scratch my head. I mean, how can this feel good to people? He says that when asked how he felt about the shootings, he stated he felt good while shooting at people, and that it provided him with a sense of relief. When asked if he would conduct a similar shootings in the future, he acknowledged that he would. So, wow, this guy he was frustrated. He didn't mind sharing it with the world. I don't know, a lot of young people who are involved with cases like this, they believe that they have the right to do these things to people because they're upset about something. And well, that's just not okay. Orlando's hardly gotten past the shooting at the gay nightclub a few years back. And since then, well, we're dealing with a rise of attacks and violence like never seen before. And let me tell you, this is something they tried to keep on the down low. And here's how bad it is. Is this coincidence? Well, I don't know. Since I've lived here in this area, we've known people, lost two people we know of to gun violence in Florida. And don't take this as an anti gun slogan here, guys. But we definitely need leaders to start targeting people who have, well, warning signs of these very violent tendencies, who are capable of having these mental breakdowns and getting their hands on such any weapon, whether it be knives or whatever. The neglect in this country of mental illness is just off the charts. While many people like to blame guns or other weapons for what happens, well, they don't pull their own triggers. And since we've had stricter gun laws, it's actually increased the crime in this area. One of the guys my husband worked with, well, he was a gun dealer. And these people are looking for gun dealers. They're looking at gun shops. They're robbing them. They're not after money. They're not after drugs. They're after their guns. And so, yeah, he was robbed of his guns. And, well, the other person, he was just driving down the road. His car is shot out. We have no idea what is going on with that right now. It's something that was new, and I really haven't had time to look into it. But I can tell you it's been kept hush-hush. So, yeah, we're dealing with a lot of criminals, mental illness, all these things that are very devastating to communities. And we don't hear media or leaders talking about that. And there's a big increase of young people being involved in violent crimes. And let me tell you, there's a lot of them getting taps on the hand and they're being released. So a lot of these more violent crimes that are happening with the younger people, well, these things are happening in the shadows. They're releasing them. They're not being held behind bars. We're not putting money in to house all of these violent crime individuals. They're just being released on the streets. Not all, but a lot. Wouldn't it be nice if you could get media that covers stories like that? And what we're dealing with too is our media services. Young people are watching this and they're being, well, provoked by the media sources by bickering and picking and pointing fingers. And there's serious consequences coming from that. The youth of today, they feel like the world hates them. If they're not saying something about how you look, they're saying something about how much money you have or how little money you have. They're always saying, blaming one another for holding each other back, when in reality, it's the media and whoever's behind the media. It's the people being pitted against the people. There should be laws against the media sources that we're seeing these days, in my opinion, especially when it comes to politics. And yesterday, so here's another story. I didn't even know about this story until yesterday when my husband and I were headed to the store. We're trying to get ready for Christmas. He's in town, and we head to the gas station. We fill our car up, and this lady approaches me and starts asking me questions about a story that I had not heard about. Now, remember, I go through stories every single morning. Mostly it's missing or abducted, but you still run across other stories in between, and I did not see this story. She says, did you hear about the guy that they caught just right across the street from where we were standing that was being charged with attempted murder? He had actually kidnapped the lady, held her at knife point, and mutilated her in some way. We don't know how. And I said, no, I have no idea. She wanted me to actually speak on it while she recorded me. And you guys know how I hate cameras. So I was like, no, I can't do it. But I tell you what, when my husband comes out, we'll gang up on him. He'll do it. So my husband comes out of the store and we gang up on him. And of course, he was more than willing to help her out because he didn't want to be on camera, but he doesn't mind as much as I do. So he's not a man of many words, but he got on there. He did it anyways. And though, she kind of briefed us on the story, we really didn't know what was going on. So we had to go shopping, finish our shopping, come back, and then we looked for the story and we found it. And this is what happened.
Mike, Orange County Sheriff's deputies got the call from the resident this morning, and within minutes, law enforcement had captured 54-year-old Bruce Whitehead.
At least they caught him, and hopefully they put him away for life.
According to the arrest report, Orange County Sheriff's deputies say the victim initially got into Whitehead's car with him willingly Saturday night. After stopping at a convenience store to buy the victim a water and a Red Bull, deputies say Whitehead forced the victim into the backseat of the car while holding a knife to her neck. Deputies say Whitehead then took her to a wooded area where he attacked and raped the victim. Whitehead was spotted around 7 a.m. Wednesday morning by an observant resident in the Weatherby Road and Landstar Boulevard area. By 7:15, he was in custody.
You can check out the rest of this story on Channel 6 News, Orlando, Florida. So here we have a happy ending. The lady lived. She's being treated at the hospital. We don't know the extent of her injuries, but we do know that the guy got caught. And guys, this is just around the corner from me, and I'm around this kind of stuff all the time. I mean, we're always, it seems, have these very crazy things happening around us more often than we're used to. And I know you don't want to live in fear, right? But you do need to be prepared just in case. So make sure your girls, your wives, your grandmothers, everybody, even the men, have mace. Be prepared because you never know. So the lady did get in a car with a stranger. We've always been told, beware, stranger danger. But a lot of people, it used to be you could talk to people and you kind of get a feel of who they are. For some reason, we expect criminals or evil persons to always be evil, not have that charisma or personality. But today's time, well, they're very brave. They are doing these things out in public more every day. In fact, it seems that doing it out in public seems to be easier. There's so much going on around you that it's hard to know what's going on with one individual. And so these criminals are learning that. We're having to worry about our children being abducted at the park while parents are sitting in their cars. They're even being abducted from their own homes or near their home. People like little Michael Vaughn, also known as Monkey, Dulce, Summer Wells. People are around. It's in broad daylight and they just disappear. 2 of these out of the 3, well, they still have no answers or any kind of direction to go and finding answers for these families. So guys, I'm going to go ahead and end it here. I want to say thank you to all of you who have supported, who have liked, subscribed, shared, who give to Patreon. And thank you for sticking by me as I try to finish up this very huge series attached to the Lori Vallow case. I'm going to try to bring more variety here. Just make sure, if you can, share my video on your group pages. So my husband's here, so I'm going to be a little bit more busy, but I'm going to try to put out little stories for you guys. And I hope that all of you are doing great out there. I hope you know that I love you guys to death. And just hang in there with me, guys. All right, I will close it now, and I'll see you guys soon.